Hey guys, this is Coach KP back again, and we've been on this journey where we talked about a lot of different things in our self-acceptance journey. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today, as I said in my last video, is we're going to talk about setting boundaries in a relationship. And this is a very so when we are talking about setting boundaries, I want you to reflect back at time and think of a time where somebody did not honor your boundary or your boundaries, when you're growing up or even as an adult. Maybe you got bullied, maybe you were the bully, maybe you didn't respect somebody's boundaries, right? And how negatively does having our boundaries violated feels in the real world, right? So when we are setting boundaries in a relationship, what that means is we're gonna accept certain behaviors coming from certain people towards us in a relationship dynamics, whether it's a romantic relationship or a relationship, say, at work or with your friends, whatever. We're gonna come up with a set of rules that we are not going to bend for anything, right? And this again ties into your core values. Like, what are our core values? Why do we live a certain way? And what drives us? Who are we at the core, right? So what having boundaries is going to do for us is it's going to allow us to not feel resentful about someone walking all over us. And a lot of times men these days are having a hard time setting those boundaries with our partners, especially if the partner is a woman. There's this underlying sort of a in the media context, there's a lot of disrespect of men in general happening in media, which is not healthy. It's not healthy for men. It's not healthy for women, and it's not fair to any gender. Because again, I'm a firm believer that both genders should respect each other, right? So there's a lot of disrespect happening to men, and what I'm saying by that is when you see a dad in the on your TV screen, the dad's the one forgetting the remote control all the time. He's the clown that the entire family is riding on, and he has pretty much like a comical presence in the family, almost like okay, the mother runs the show here, and then the daddy is like just a comical presence, right? A lot of that is happening, and I'm not saying women, the whole thing about women being portrayed a certain way. I think there's objectification of both genders are happening, but what we are talking about here in this course, in the context of the discourse, I'm talking about how men are being portrayed as this being without a boundary. Like, it's almost like anybody can say anything to a man, especially in a home context, and he just laughs it off or feels miserable about it. And then what that's not teaching us is how to set boundaries. So a practical example of how you set boundaries is, let's say you come home or you're meeting your partner, and your partner says something, whether it's something that's as even as little as calling you a nickname that you're not fond of, right? Maybe your name's Christopher, and unlike most people, you don't like being called Chris, and your partner's calling you Chris. That's one example I can present to you is a violation of your boundary. saying things to you, doing things behind your back could be another one, right? Or doing things that you guys agreed upon that was not going to happen in this relationship. That's another boundary violation example. The more we allow our boundaries to be violated, the more we allow our self-esteem to get chipped to a point where our self-worth in that relationship continues to be diminished. And that's what bullies do to us, right? And if we've been the bully, we've done that to people, and it's time to own that and really come to a point, where we are changing our behaviors, because we can't live a happy life expecting a good situation for us when we are causing misery to other people, right? So just a side note there. But if we've been in either one of these dynamics, what bullies do is bullies violate other people's boundaries, and in a relationship, there's no need to label anyone a bully if they're violating your boundaries, because honestly, if the person's really a bully, it's not going to matter, and things are probably going to get worse. So if you're feeling violated, even in subtle ways, where you've already made it clear, or maybe you haven't made it clear to your partner that these are your boundaries, and you would like them respected, then you can approach them and try to establish that. It's never too late to speak in a manner that you're using to defend yourself. You don't have to go there, be ballistic about establishing boundaries, but you're gonna have a voice there. Okay, so let's say in that example I gave earlier about somebody calling you Chris when your real name is Christopher, and you don't like being called Chris, you can say to your partner one time that, hey, I would prefer you not calling me Chris. Because I don't like being called Chris, and you don't need to go further than that, explaining all of why you don't like being Chris, because that's who you are, that's your preference, and if there's no need for you, if they ask you to explain, you can, but there's no need. It's just your preference, right? And that if that's your name, you feel like not being called Chris, so don't call you Chris, right? That could be one. The other one could be, maybe you're in a situation where your significant other, or your partner, whoever that may be, likes to throw a tantrum, and that's their thing, right? There's a little bit of a drama going on there on that end, right? And you feel violated when they throw a tantrum, when they do not approach you in a manner that you would like to be approached. That's a perfectly valid spot in your relationship to set your boundaries, and you tell your partner that, hey, listen, when you did that, when you got upset in that manner, when you were going berserk or throwing the tantrum, I did not appreciate that, because I do not prefer us to communicate in that way. It made me feel, and again, you own your feelings. It made me feel threatened, or it made me feel angry, and I don't like feeling that way. So I'm requesting you that you not throw a tantrum, and without trying to resolve this in a manner that works for you, works for both of you, right? So what you are doing by setting the boundary is you're not approaching this person, you're not necessarily blaming them for your feelings. You feel this way and you would like to resolve it in a different way. So what you're doing is providing an alternative. This is when your partner is receptive of you speaking to them in this manner. Some people that are chronically bullies, or they don't want to work with you, people that have narcissistic tendencies may not understand or appreciate this. So you have to be very careful when you're going to set these boundaries. They may have they may get very upset and have a really unexpected reaction to your request, right? There is no need for you to feel bad when that happens. It's just a data point for you to collect, and the next time the same thing happens and you are, again, presenting yourself in a non-threatening way, and you're communicating your needs and they're not listening to you, I say that's, at that time, you make the decision if it's worth staying in that relationship. And, as men, I will say this, that there's not a lot of awareness around how men can get emotionally bullied by their partners. It's almost like, it's almost comical to me when, people talk about, all of these things like toxic masculinity, this and that, and at the same time, there's no check and balance of the fact that toxic masculinity, when you're talking about an energetic standpoint, because masculine and feminine, they're just energies. It's not a gender. So toxic masculinity, if they think aggression, if people think aggression is toxic masculinity, and if and I'm just saying if, because I haven't, these are not my opinions. These are opinions that I encounter. I have no skin in the game, so take it as you may. Toxic masculinity is also present in women. So if someone's being unnecessarily aggressive at a moment, then as a man in a relationship, it's for you to understand that there is bullying going on emotionally, where this partner is either stonewalling you. That's another perfect example of a behavior that you should not tolerate in a relationship. Stonewalling is when your partner completely shuts down and doesn't want to communicate, even when you are distressed about the communication. And what ends up happening is men have been conditioned to try to overcome that with either extra show of love or with added aggression. And what that ends up doing to the man is either they're going to get walked all over, or they're going to end up in the police station, or they're going to be miserable either way, right? Or they're going to be somewhere in this walking on eggshell pattern where they don't know, they don't know what's going on. And it could be a very distressing thing for a man, whether you are, whatever your sexual orientation may be. And then again, I am a heterosexual male, so I speak, when I'm talking about generally a male-female dynamics, but it could happen in any type of relationship, any type of sexual orientation, right? So if your partner is being visceral and not respecting your desires, again, this also goes the other way. If you are the type of person that kind of tends to flood into other people's zones a little bit, maybe it's time for you to help your partner set boundaries. You can hold yourself accountable and say that, hey, look, sometimes I tend to get very upset, and when I get upset, I may do certain things. Would you help me, remind me, if you really love your partner, if you want to be in this relationship, if you think your partner's awesome, you can always make them your accountability partner. And again, I don't believe in bringing your partner into your emotional turmoil so much so that they end up hating you. So it's always good to have a situation outside of your relationship where you can create accountability. That would be the perfect situation. But if you have a really good relationship with your partner, maybe you can try that as well. So it's for you to figure out, okay? What I'm saying is establishing boundaries is so important, because once you honor somebody's boundaries, that's respect. You're showing them respect, and they're showing you respect by when they honor your boundaries. And talking to several women, whether or not they've been in a relationship with me, sexual relationship with me, or a romantic relationship with me, women appreciate it when a man stands up for themselves. And I can imagine this in any kind of a relationship, even if it's not a heterosexual relationship. I can imagine the same thing happening when, us as men, when we start to own the fact that, hey, there are certain behaviors that we are not willing to tolerate, that is self-love. And that is showing to the world that you are someone that you value yourself, that you are someone that's worthy of love, worthy of respect, right? And again, you know, asking for respect is not is never a good idea. As someone that's teaching you this stuff or talking to you about this stuff, I don't even like to say teaching. I cannot teach anything to you that you don't already know, right? Instinctively, you're not going to resonate with that. So forget about teaching. Talking to you about this stuff, I wanna say that having strong boundaries and not being a dick about your boundaries, like after a couple of times, if somebody continually violates your boundaries, you don't want to be in that relationship. You don't want to be a dick about them violating your boundaries, because that's gonna put you in a contentious, angry, aggressive, unnecessarily aggressive situation where your blood pressure is going up. You're gonna end up hurting yourself, right? You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be in a situation where your partner and you are building yourselves up. You're building each other up, right? And again, you know, even without a relationship. So maybe there's single guys watching this video and wondering why I keep talking about relationship. It doesn't have to be that way. You can be a single person and you can establish boundaries about yourself. And this can also be true if you're a person that's in a relationship. You, as I talked in my last video about the 21-day challenge, I hope you're committed to doing that. You can establish boundaries about how you talk to yourself, your self-talk. Start there. Start establishing the boundary where when a thought that does not respect you starts to arise in your mind, you check that. You say, hey, stop violating my boundaries, because this is something important for me, right? I don't want to be talked to. Even the voices inside of us, they say, oh, you idiot, right? When that voice comes, oh, you're stupid, right? When that voice comes, I can't get anything right. Say, stop. That's not who I am. That's not who I am, right? That's not who you are. You just tell that voice, hey, I'm not that person. Please stop talking to me this way. And you'll notice that having good boundaries in a relationship is very important. And it's one of the best things you can do to yourself and to your partner. And if these boundaries are something you're working on internally, one of the best things that can happen to you in terms of self-acceptance and epic forgiveness and things of that nature. Because soon as this thought process, this negative spiral of thought process occurs, you can say to the thought, hey, I'm not that person. I'm not going there. I'm not going to entertain that thought, right? There's a tale where Buddha is sitting in his meditative stance and meditating and serving other people after he comes out of enlightenment. After he comes out of his enlightenment experience, he's enlightened at that point, and there is this angry person that goes to Buddha and starts really cursing him out. And after he's done cursing Buddha out, Buddha says that thank you for your gift, all of what you've given to me. I do not accept it. Please take it back. Right? So just because somebody's out there or your thoughts are out there violating your boundaries, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept your boundaries being violated. Okay? So that's all I wanted to talk about today was boundaries, setting boundaries, and how to go about it. I gave you a few examples. I think that's a good way for you to start talking, having these boundaries with your self-talk and also when conversing with your partner. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Hope you guys are enjoying this course, and I'll talk to you soon. Coach KP, peace.